Okay, let's have the Travis Hunter conversation. And I want to start it right here. Dateline, 9:54 p.m. Monday night. So I'm sitting in my barn, my usual Monday night ritual on the rare nights when I'm watching the game by myself. I work for the first half. Second half, I light a little victory cigar or defeat cigar. Either way, there's a cigar involved to watch the second half of the game. And I only focus on the second half of the game, except I also have my phone. So I'm puffing and I'm watching, and it occurred to me that, you know, there's a lot of praise being heaped on Travis Hunter, and that praise was concealing, I think, a more realistic narrative. You give up a lot to get this guy, and you justify it by creating the impression that you've got a two-way Iron Man Superman that you intend to unleash on the NFL. And what has he done through 4 weeks? And that's a fair conversation. You know, people get upset when you point that out. But that's a fair conversation. And I know he's still getting his feet wet, but what's he really done? And again, the broadcast hasn't mentioned that. So I texted at 9:54 to the PFT writers group text that literally like 250 messages a day on this thing. Has there been any conversation tonight on the Jaguars giving up so much for a two-way player who has had minimal impact on either side of the ball so far this year? As soon as I press send, he makes that long catch. So it's like, never mind. And I mean, you touched on this earlier. What are we doing here? That sounds like a Jason Garrett thing. What are we doing here? You got a guy who could be a dominant receiver, and we're diluting him for what end? Like, why is it better to have a guy who is split between offense and defense when he's not making enough of an impact on either one to make it make sense? If you let him be a full-time receiver or a full-time DB, I feel like it's going to be a greater net impact. Last night, 39 snaps on offense, 25 snaps on defense. There were 58 offensive snaps. So they got 6 extra plays out of him than they would have gotten if he had just played offense the whole game. Is that really worth it? Or should you just say, you're a receiver. You're a receiver. Maybe once in a while we'll throw you out there. Try to surprise someone. But we're not going to do this a foot in each boat. You're going to be in one or the other. And maybe we'll dabble. And see, here's the problem. When you come out there and thump your chest about this trade you've made, and this is part of the marketing of a football team, Devin, has nothing to do with winning games. This is about getting Jaguars fans excited because we made this move and we moved up. And why'd we move up? Why'd we give up so much? Because we're getting 2 players in one. Well, no, you're getting 2 half players in one. And when you slap them together, you got 1 player. So what's the difference? Just let him play offense all the time. Just do that, or defense, because I think it makes it harder for him to stand out. And it's got to be harder for him. Like, how are you really in the rhythm of the game when you're a little bit here and a little bit there? I don't get it. And I say that because I think he could be better, and they could be better if he would just play offense.
And when I didn't get to go watch the game back, but I know for a fact the Devin Lloyd touchdown, there was a miscommunication on how they were going to play the two. What ended up happening was one person ran vertical, and then Juju Smith-Schuster and Travis Kelce, I think Tyquan Thornton went vertical, and then there was two slant routes. The 2 corners, I think it was Lewis and Hunter, were trying to figure out how they were going to play Thornton and Juju, and it was a mistake because even if you watch it, after Lloyd makes the interception, you see the 2 corners talk to each other right away because there was a miscommunication. So that play got covered up because that would have been a key of what we talked about with Travis Hunter going to defense. And we talked about, I think it was week 2, of one of the problems that has nothing to do with talent, has to do with time on task. You're not in all of the meetings. You can't do everything. So now you have a guy who comes out here, usually on defense in some key situations, third down, red area. He's the extra DB. That's a part of the communication. Like, that it's really hard to do against good football teams of having a guy pop in. So he pops in, he has one pass breakup early in the game, which he got away with probably a little bit of a pass interference, but hey, it comes with it. He ends up on Travis Kelce on a slant route early in the game on third down, makes a good play. After that, he ends up with 2 tackles on defense. I think if we go back and watch the film, I think there was one other, I can't remember correctly, I think there was one other play where he was out there where I wasn't sure if the communication was right. Then you flip to the offensive side. He has 3 targets, 3 catches. One is a deep ball where he goes up there over 2 guys and makes an unbelievable catch. The other one was a 4-yard pass where he makes a guy miss, jumps back outside, and gets, I think, 12 or 13 yards on a play that should have been 3 yards. So for me, I walked away and I was like, I want to see this guy with the ball in his hands more. Like, I want to see him a main target of the offense. But he can't probably because he's splitting time. He's going on defense some. He's coming on offense. And I don't get it other than what you just said. We did all this. We said he's going to play both. He said he wants to play both. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to just keep banging our heads on the wall. When, like, what if we're missing out on this guy that's going to be one of the most dynamic young receivers? And I saw Ryan Clark in the pregame. He compared him to Jacob Parrish, a DB on the Tampa Bay Bucks, and Emeka Egbuka, the receiver. And he said, I think he's more talented than both of those players. But because he's doing both, those players are having bigger impacts on their team than him because they're focusing on one position and they're going out there and they're being the best version of themselves at that position. Egbuka's having a hell of a year right now, a receiver. What if Travis Hunter was having that kind of year for Jacksonville? Like, that's my only concern of when we get later in the season. Like, is the impact going to just be this? Is it going to go down because the wear and tear of his body? So now you might have to do like, I just sit here and I'm just like, man, if this guy plays 70% of the offensive snaps, would he be walking away with 140 yards and 2 touchdowns in a game or 80 yards in a touchdown? Like, would we be seeing those type of games from Travis Hunter? And I just think that's an ultimate fail for Jacksonville if that's the case.
They didn't do this, surely, to have a mid-level performer on offense and defense. The idea was we're going to get this guy who's going to be as electric and as effective as he was at Colorado on both sides of the ball. And maybe he'll get there. He's only 5 games into his career, but it's just a head scratcher because of the hype that came with the justification to move from 5 to 2 to go get Travis Hunter, because this wasn't sold as we're going to have 2 average players and you add them together and you have 1 great player. And that, you're right, that's not good for Travis Hunter. It's better for Travis Hunter to play one position and become dominant at that one position. How do you pay a guy when it's time for a second contract, when he's average at the 2 positions he plays, slap it together 100% of the time? It's so much easier if you have one or the other, and we know how you fit and we know who you are. And I think it's better for the player too. It's better for the player. It's better for the team. Be all in with one side or the other. And maybe the long play here is for him to come to the conclusion on his own, not to be told you can't do this. For him to wake up one day, maybe happen to accidentally trip onto Peacock and hear a couple of people like us. I was going to say a couple of idiots like us. I only say that when it's me and Sims. I'll exclude you from the idiot category until proven otherwise. But yeah, like, he's going to wake up one day and say, wait a minute. Yeah, look at Emeka Egbuka. I could be that if I was doing that all the time. And maybe his goal is to be both, to be great receiver and great corner all in one. I think it's impossible because the little things, like you said, the little communication things that come from reps, that come from the comfort level that arises from doing it over and over and over again. You can't just throw a guy out there and expect him to understand. And, I think back to what Travis Kelce said during one of the episodes of the New Heights podcast before the season started. I think it was on New Heights, talking about what you do with Travis Hunter. You just run right at him, run him deep, wear him out. And what happened on that long pass to Xavier Worthy after the Devin Lloyd pick six? I thought Travis Hunter pulled his hamstring and we weren't going to see him for a month the way he was walking off the field. Now, I was surprised he came back. He may have just been cramping, but just wear him out, wear him out. And that's the thing. There's only so much the human body can take. I hope that at some point this year they realize that they're better off short-term and long-term having this guy play one position. And it could be the difference between them winning the division and not winning the division. How they got a shot at the 1 seed at 4-1. There's nobody with a better record than them in the NFL right now.
And one of the things I think, the last thing I'll say about it is, you have Monday night and you have Troy Aikman calling the game, who, when we think about two-way players, usually the first person that comes to our mind is Deion Sanders. And Troy, like all Troy said last night was, it's really hard. Because Troy was in the huddle probably, calling the call and having to tell Deion, hey, this is this route. Hey, this is this. Because Deion hasn't been in all the meetings because Deion's a corner. And like that, to me, it jumped out last night when Troy got into it a little bit. He didn't spend a lot of time on it. He said how hard it was to do for Deion to do. And as good as Travis Hunter was coming out of college and what he did, I still don't know if he has that Deion Sanders size and what he was able to do. I don't know if we can say Travis Hunter is better than Deion Sanders was. I think that's a stretch. And this is Troy Aikman talking about Deion Sanders. Troy Aikman, the Hall of Fame quarterback that played with Deion Sanders and saw it, talking about how hard it is. Didn't sit there on the broadcast and encourage it and say, this is a great idea because I was with Deion in Dallas. Just talked about it, and that to me stuck out because of all guys that gets to talk about it and get to call the game. It's Troy Aikman, the guy in the middle of it and saw it firsthand, and he didn't even get excited about it. So I hope they change this up a little bit, and I still think he can play both, but just make something the primary position.
And our mutual interpretation of Troy Aikman's comments is augmented by stories that we may have heard from other members of the Dallas Cowboys. Far more colorful stories and examples of Troy Aikman's reaction to having a part-time receiver who might not know the play when it's called in the huddle and might have to be told what the play is and what his assignment is. And the quarterback has bigger things to worry about than telling Deion Sanders after every single play what his assignment is on this play. So, and Jason Garrett tells a great story, and that may or may not have been a story that we've heard. And I suspect that story's been told elsewhere, but Troy Aikman being very charitable while he's on the Monday Night Football microphone, not being as colorful as maybe the story from a teammate.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.